Welcome back, everyone, to NeuroAlchemy, where science meets soul and where healing becomes multidimensional, intuitive, and profoundly possible. I'm Dr. Sarah Young. Here on NeuroAlchemy, we define every term as if you're hearing it for the very first time, because clarity creates safety, and safety opens the door for new healing opportunities and possibilities. Today's episode's a little different. This is just a solo reflection, a pause, and an invitation to look at what this space has quietly become. Before we go any further, I want to slow us down together. As you're listening right now, I would love for you to take a moment with yourself and notice how you're arriving in the space today, either physically, emotionally, or energetically. You don't need to change anything. I just want you to notice, because healing doesn't begin with fixing. It begins with awareness. As for me, I am arriving pretty comfortable today. I feel like I'm in a really nice space, and I'm excited to share with all of you my reflections on what has occurred so far in the recordings up until today. So over time, as this podcast has been growing, I've started to notice something pretty important. NeuroAlchemy has become a little bit more than just a podcast. It's become a gathering place, a living archive, if you will, of deeply personal transformations. Again and again, guest after guest have arrived, not because their lives were easy, but because something broke open. Illness, burnout, trauma, loss. A moment where survival stopped working. And what moves me the most is this. Very few of these stories start with clarity. Most start in the dark. And I think a lot of us can relate to that space as well. Before we go deeper, I want to ground a few core concepts we return to often on this show. I'll define them gently and simply, so we're speaking the same language. When I say darkness, I'm not talking about failure or weakness. I'm talking about disorientation, the moment when old strategies, identities, or coping mechanisms no longer work. Survival mode is a nervous system state where the body prioritizes protection over growth. It's not a flaw, it's adaptive, but it's not meant to be permanent. And transformation isn't a glow up or a before and after story. It's a reorganization of identity, physiology, meaning, and capacity. And neuroalchemy is the process of turning lived experience, even pain, into integration, coherence, and choice. Not by bypassing the hard parts, but by listening to what they're asking of us. The middle is the space between who you were, who you knew yourself to be previously, and who you're becoming. And it's uncomfortable. It's not linear, and it's where most healing actually happens. One of the strongest threads across neuroalchemy episodes is this: healing rarely begins with answers. It begins with intolerance, an intolerance for living disconnected from the body, from your mind, from your family or your friends, an intolerance for overriding your intuition, an intolerance for surviving at the cost of yourself. Many guests didn't wake up one day knowing what they were going to do next. They just knew they couldn't keep doing this, whatever it was that they were doing. In that moment, that friction is not failure. It's a threshold. I often say, and I mean this deeply, that I'm very familiar with the dark places, not because I sought them out, but because life has a way of asking us to meet ourselves honestly. Dark moments strip away performance. They remove the illusion of control. They ask better questions than comfort ever could. And when we stop asking, why is this happening to me? And begin asking, what is this asking of me? Or how could this be working for me? Something begins to shift. One thing this podcast makes very clear is that healing is not purely cognitive. The body is always part of the conversation. Symptoms, fatigue, anxiety, pain, brain fog, collapse. These are not moral failures, they're communication. The body doesn't speak in words, it speaks in sensation, rhythm, and limits. And when we listen, rather than override, transformation becomes possible. All of our listeners out there that have been around might know this. And if you're new, each week on NeuroAlchemy, we offer a simple invitation, not a demand. So here's your challenge of the week. Over the next 7 days, when you encounter something difficult, and it might be emotional, could be physical, it could be energetically or relationally, I want you to pause and I want you to ask, what might this be teaching me about my capacity? Not how do I get rid of this, but what is this asking me to learn, strengthen, or release? You might journal it. You might sit quietly with it. You might simply notice some patterns. And the goal here is not to romanticize pain, but to metabolize experience into wisdom. And as we begin to close this short solo episode today, here's what I hope you carry with you after you listen. If you're in the middle, okay, if you're between sickness and health, if you're between who you were and who you're becoming, you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not failing, you're becoming. And becoming is rarely quiet, linear, or convenient. Thank you for spending this time with me on NeuroAlchemy, where the nervous system, lived experience, and multidimensional healing meet. If something you heard today resonated, or if you know someone navigating their own dark to light transition, please like, subscribe, and share this episode. It's how these conversations reach the people who need to hear them the most. Until next time, take gentle care of your mind, your body, and your inner world. I'm Dr. Sarah Young, and I'll meet you again in the becoming. Bye for now.